All right, so I want to answer some questions. So I've got with me a list of questions that have come in from the videos from last week. Okay, we're talking about the week of 10/15, so October 15th, 2018. I want to start doing this where I break down some of the top questions that have come in on previous videos and answer them right here on camera. This way, I don't have to do a complete video for each and every good question, but I can break it down and get people the answers that they truly want. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first video that I want to break down is the top natural nootropics that were proven to boost cognition and productivity. This is a video that I posted up last week, and there are some really good questions that came up. So the first one I'm going to read from is Gregory Johnston. Now, Gregory Johnston writes, Thomas mentioned taking ginkgo at night. Is that the best time to take it, or is the morning better? Is it okay to take lion's mane and ginkgo together, or is that overkill? That's a good question. So the reason that I mentioned taking ginkgo at night is simply because taking ginkgo at night isn't going to give you this crazy stimulatory effect. So you're still going to be able to sleep, but you'll be able to have a little bit of energy. You absolutely can take it in the morning. It's just usually you're having caffeine or something instead. So I like to give options for both. Taking ginkgo and lion's mane are definitely going to work together. They complement each other. So whenever you can, take ginkgo and lion's mane. That's a great question. Okay, the next question comes from Cornelius Chung, and he asks, how does rhodiola help to cement the benefits of lion's mane? So in that video, I talked about lion's mane having all kinds of neuroplasticity effects where it helps improve your brain function and helps develop new neural pathways. And then I talked about how rhodiola rosea sort of locks those in. One gives you the new effects, one helps them stay there. Well, in essence, that means cementing the actual progress. Well, rhodiola does this by having a very powerful antioxidant capability, specifically within the brain. So when you take lion's mane and you're enhancing that sort of effect where you're pushing along that neuroplasticity, the rhodiola comes in and it has antioxidant properties that make it so that those nerve cells don't get attacked. You see, when you develop new nerve cells, they are highly likely to get attacked by free radicals. So that's why we want to fix that. Okay, another question comes from Shiva the Destroyer. Nice screen name there. She says, also as a side question, would you recommend taking any of the compounds you mentioned while fasting? Yes, definitely. Lion's mane won't break a fast. Rhodiola won't break a fast. Any of those are good to go. You're not going to break a fast. The only thing you have to be careful is with like ginkgo, a lot of times you'll have it with ginseng, and a lot of times it ends up coming in like a little packet that has sugar in it, so just be careful with that. But all in all, you're going to get a heightened effect using these while fasting because you already have the ketones going through your brain when you're fasting, so you're going to get a double whammy effect. Let's move on to the next video. Does keto heal a fatty liver? Everything you should know. This video was also posted that week. Great video, got a lot of positive reaction. First question comes from Dennis Shoemaker, and he says, how long does it take to eliminate a fatty liver? Well, I have to be careful saying this because I'm not a doctor, but a lot of the research shows that a lot of progress can be made in about 6 months. So 6 months, you can actually see significant improvement. Dennis, you had a follow-up question too. It says, how does a fatty liver affect the processing of nutrients? Does it just make the liver less efficient? Yeah, that's essentially what it does. So basically when you have a fatty liver, you have less usable space within the liver. So not only does the liver enlarge and grow, but some of the actual bioactive components of the liver become covered up in fat and they can't be used as well and blood flow is restricted. Basically the liver just loses some of its filtering capabilities. Flannel Jackson says, I'm kind of confused. Does this also include people with no gallbladder? Help me, I don't know if I need to figure out if I can go keto. Okay, Flannel, I think what you're asking is basically like, you don't have a gallbladder, is keto gonna help you, and does it even matter with a fatty liver in that case? Absolutely, you can do keto. You just have to introduce fat slowly. You see, all the gallbladder does is hold extra bile from the liver. So the liver produces bile for digestion, okay? And then usually you use most of it, but the extra that you don't use goes into your gallbladder and it's stored for later use. It just means that your liver has to work a little bit harder than another person's because you don't have a gallbladder, which actually means that a fatty liver is something that you definitely should be concerned with, and you should be exercising whatever you can to not have a fatty liver. So that means decreasing the sugar intake and just making sure you're watching your diet in general. Following a ketogenic diet will actually help a fatty liver and help you out with your lack of a gallbladder. You just want to start with the fats a little bit slower and use things like MCT that don't require a gallbladder to begin with to get a majority of your fats. The next video was reducing bad estrogen with these 3 vegetables. This video crushed, did really, really well. 777 Wake Up Call says, I have often heard that eating a lot of cruciferous vegetables lowers thyroid function. Is this true? It does temporarily, but anytime you reduce calories, you're also reducing thyroid function. So don't worry about it. They're goitrogenic, so it means that if you have a goiter, it can feed a goiter, which can also affect your thyroid. Nothing to be too concerned with. If you have a thyroid condition, just use cruciferous vegetables in moderation. You're fine. Elias Barasa asks, how much broccoli a day should I consume and how much mushrooms to eat a day for maximum benefit and so on and so forth. So broccoli depends on the size of the person. I would say for about every 50 pounds that you weigh, you should eat about a cup a day. Okay, so if you weigh 150 pounds, go for 3 cups a day of broccoli. Sounds like a lot, but it's really not that much. When you actually put broccoli in a cup, you realize it's really not all that much. Now, when it comes down to the mushrooms, you don't even have to eat mushrooms daily. Okay, mushrooms are great, but put them in your eggs like every other day, and all you need is like 3/4 of a cup. They're gonna shrivel up a little bit, but they're gonna maintain their anti-estrogen properties because most of what you're gonna lose is the water. So go ahead and cook them in your eggs or something like that if you're doing keto, and you're off to the races. And the last video I wanna talk about is, does a sauna benefit you or improve fat loss? This video did really, really well. I knew it was gonna do well simply because people had asked about it a lot, but here's a couple questions on it. So what is better, sauna or steam room? Well, I'm biased, but I prefer a sauna. Okay, and there's a follow-up question that kind of leads in with this one. Tawan 1984 asks, is there a difference between a dry sauna and a steam room in this situation? Dry saunas get hotter, which means that you're going to activate those heat shock proteins faster. Steam rooms are going to probably make you sweat more simply because you're not evaporating, so you're going to feel like you're sweating more. So you have sort of an implied detoxing effect. But honestly, saunas get hotter and do more cellular repair. Jordan says, how does an ice cold shower impact the positive effects that you're mentioning? Would we see similar benefits from a hot bath or shower as we see from the sauna? Okay, to answer your question, a hot bath or hot shower, it'd be pretty darn hard. Now, I will say when I don't have a sauna handy, a lot of times if I'm in a hotel room or something like that, I will take a very, very hot bath, close the shower doors if possible, close the bathroom door and steam myself out and try to have a sort of a sauna/steam room effect. But I can tell you from experience, it doesn't have the same effect. It's not quite as good. Ice cold shower is gonna work with you in different ways. I don't know if it activates heat shock proteins like a sauna does, but it does definitely do something with your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system by allowing you to sort of toggle between the two easier. So what that means is you're gonna have more resistance to stress overall. So I don't know how it's gonna affect you from a performance standpoint though. And last question says, which is better for recovery, heat or cold? Many professional amateur athletes use ice tubs to recover from long, intense workouts. Different ball game. One is for recovery, one is actually furthering you along. You see, ice baths are there for inflammation. Saunas can reduce inflammation too, but ice baths directly reduce inflammation in a localized place. So if you're doing a lot of concussive work where you're doing a lot of burpees, or maybe you're doing, maybe you're playing football, or you're doing somewhere where there's a lot of impact in general, you're gonna want an ice bath. You see, a lot of professional athletes will do contrast baths or any kind of contrast therapy, where they'll go in an ice cold shower and then they'll go in a sauna. They'll go in some ice bath and then they'll go in a hot bath, whatever. They just kind of contrast therapy because they're getting benefits of each. Reducing inflammation via the cold pathway and then allowing and stimulating stem cells and active recovery and heat shock proteins via the heat therapy. So if you can do both, do both. Usually I come out of a sauna and then take an ice cold shower whenever possible. So that's it for the questions that I'm picking for this week. Next week, we'll do another set. And as always, make sure you're keeping it locked in here in my videos and make sure you're watching these videos and leaving comments so that your comment might get picked in the next comment read. I'll see you in the next video.